podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Lanita Nickerson. She is the communication coordinator for a small Christian school in Texas, and she's our guest today. She has been in this role for about 3 years. She's been working on social media with her school for the last 11 years or so, but really has dove into the social media aspect in the last 3 years. And I asked her to come on and just share her authentic story, you guys. She has really done a great job to grow their social media presence, and she's going to kind of break down how her department works. And she's going to dive into how the Social School for EDU membership program has kind of benefited her and her skill set. I promise you, you're going to get a lot of great takeaways because she has transformed her storytelling and the stories she's getting from her staff with one simple tip. And you're going to find out what that one simple tip is that I've preached so many years, and finally she did it. And guess what? Her life is easier. So that is really good. She's going to share a tool that she uses to break down steps. And then she's also going to talk about how getting in front of her staff was a game changer at the beginning of this school year. And I know we're not at the beginning of the school year, but if you can get in a staff meeting and grab a few minutes to talk about social media, you guys, it could change everything. I'm so excited for you to meet Lanita. You are going to learn a lot in today's episode. And I think, Lanita first got introduced to Social School for EDU by our free newsletter. And so, are you signed up? We send out great ideas and tips and our blogs and video tips, all of that every other week. And you can sign up for free at socialschool4edu.com. Also, if you are signed up and this has helped you, share it with your friends. Okay. You have other people in schools around you that do social media for schools. They deserve to know about this resource. So share it with them. Okay. Now, before we get to today's podcast episode, we're going to get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, today's K-12 PR tip is just about getting students involved in your storytelling. I recently shared a very helpful blog on empowering student voices, launching a social media internship at your school. You guys, I'm doing this. This is my second year of launching and having a internship at our New Auburn school. No credit, no pay, but we've got a group of storytellers, and I'm telling you, just this morning, I got a story from a classroom where they had a cow come in, and the student was able to capture some photos and get me a little description of what they learned, the student that had brought in their cow, and how it kind of benefited both the students and the senior student that is doing a lot with her agricultural knowledge. So super cool. And I think by implementing and involving those students, you guys, they have the skills, they have the knowledge, and they're obviously in the classroom. And so they can grab that content for you to share. And I was able to easily schedule it and put it on for today at 3 p.m. It's awesome to be able to share those stories in a timely basis and get those out. So if you are looking for involving your students. We've got some other resources, but you definitely want to check out that blog. We'll link it in the show notes today. And now let's get to this week's episode with Lanita Nickerson. Welcome to the podcast, Lanita Nickerson. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is
I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Known you for quite a few years, and I'd love for you to start with just sharing your background a little bit, Lanita, and how you got into this work, and then your role as communications coordinator at Lake Country Christian there in Fort Worth.
Okay, sure. Um, I have been working at the school for 11 years. I was a parent at the school before that. I was part-time in the technology office, but took on the social media when I first started. And then I've been full-time for about 3 years now. And this is the first year that the title changed and I'm communications coordinator and have left the technology room behind. So this is really the first year where I've only been devoted to this and not juggling it along with other stuff as well. So it's been a fun year, but a lot of learning and That's sort of my history as far as how I got here. And we handle Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X, which we're not doing as much with X, although I think that's pretty typical for schools right now. But we do all those platforms, and so those go through me.
Okay. And then tell me a little bit about Lake Country Christian. What's the size of your school, grade levels, all of that?
Sure, we're pre-K through 12. We've been in Northwest Fort Worth since 1980. We have about 600 students.
Okay.
So it's a healthy student body, and we have a lot going on. So juggling what we're celebrating at this particular minute is always a lot of fun because we have a really active campus, and kids are always busy competing in different things, going different places. So we have a lot going on.
So are you just one campus then?
Yes.
Okay. Pre-K through 12, all one campus. I love it. And you said you do the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, not much on X. Now, so that's a school wide channels. Do you have
Right.
other social media channels that are run throughout the school system or not?
We do not officially. We have on X, and this year we stepped out and did it for Instagram as well, one devoted just to athletics.
Okay.
And that's really, I know many schools are doing that now. It's really just to manage that influx of scores that need reporting. So that's been helpful this year to move that to its own platform. We have a couple of accounts that are student run, but they're unofficial, and we do not oversee them.
Okay. And then who's doing the posting on the athletics Twitter or X and Instagram pages? Is that you or is that your athletic director or?
Yeah, I'm still doing it at this time.
Okay.
We are hoping to grow maybe some student interns with our team management groups, you know. That has not happened yet, but I'm hopeful that eventually there'll be a student in each sport that can help with that.
Okay. So how do you manage social media? How do you get content for your social media accounts? Are you going out and taking all the pictures? Do you have a system of getting content from your staff? How does that work?
So I rely on them to send me content. And, historically, that's been my role to post it. I've stepped back a little more each year from being, all things to all people as far as having to be at each thing. Uh, Getting the content, we all have those few that really send in a lot, and some it's harder to get from. This year's been a little bit broader of an area due to a couple of different reasons, but we also have hired a content coordinator this year, and she has taken on that role of school photographer, which is
Okay.
nice for the big events. Those pictures, can be put in the folder quickly, and we can pull back to that, but it's still definitely a group effort.
Okay. And do they submit that just via email to you, or how exactly do you ask staff to submit content to you?
Well, that's probably one of my biggest learnings from your group. This year, there's been a big change with that. I've always just send it however you want to. If you want to text it, if you want to email it, I'll take it any way you get it to me, kind of thought process. But this year, I really finally gave in to all of the times you have said in your group, and other people have come on and said it in podcasts like this, uh, to use a dedicated email. And that was really hard for me. I set it up last year. It got used a couple of times, and I did the QR code on the sticker and gave everybody one. But people still wanted to text. And I just think you think that's the quickest. I'm going to shoot it off and I don't have to worry about it anymore. But you know how that is. It gets lost in in your text threads and you have 50 texts before you know what's happening. And so this year I followed all of your recommendations and I said, this is the email address. When you send them there, that's when we will look at them. And it has been a game changer for my sanity to be able to not see those unless I purposely go and look in that inbox. It's just been huge. And one of the things that we added, in addition to having the dedicated email, we have an app. And there's a button on our app that says upload pics. It's been there, it's not new, but nobody used it. And for the couple of people who just have trouble thinking, I'm sending the pictures to an email address, I suggested just use the button. You already have the app, hit it, send it, it's done. They still have to click on the email once they go on that upload pic button. But just being able to know where to go, I think every time has made it so much easier for them. And so everybody has just given great feedback about having that one little button. So for schools who do have a dedicated app or something that keeps, even if you're teaching your teachers how to save a home button and make that, accessible. Something about knowing you only have to click one button makes everybody think differently about it. And it has been a game changer in getting pictures this year.
Awesome. And I bet it's helped your sanity a little bit.
So much so. And of course, that's what you tell us. We're saving our sanity. Um, and it really is. Plus, if you're somebody like me who you have weird sleep hours, the other person who's up at 2 in the morning and shoots you an email is very different when it's in an inbox that doesn't alert you.
Right.
And so that has really just made a big difference.
Yeah. So you reference a few times our group and you're part of the membership group. So the Social School for EDU, we share a lot of free resources and including, sharing this podcast. But you've been a part of that group for a few years. So how has that helped you in your role? I mean, obviously, you finally implemented this system and it takes some time because a lot of you are like, I don't care how I get it. I just want it. I just love that you shared that it has been a game changer and you're
Oh, yeah.
absolutely but how else has it helped you in your role?
Well, it has, gosh, let me count the ways. I can't remember even how I found out about you, if it was your podcast or you were a guest on someone else's. And I think initially I signed up for the newsletter,
Mhm.
which great tips always. And then looked into the group and wow, never turn back. Best decision ever. Um, I think probably the biggest part of it is just the support because most of us are a team of one. What amazes me is in a school of about 600 kids, and I hear these other people who are in a school with 5,000 kids or in a district with multiple schools of thousands, and they are still a team of one. Even if our communications role is integrated into a different department, almost always what we're doing is a team of one. We kind of stand alone and it's easy to be isolated because nobody really gets the full picture of what we do um, unless you're doing it. It's just a different animal, so to speak. And I think the biggest thing that the group did for me was give me just that instant support because it's easy to think I'm all alone. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm on the wrong track. And to get the affirmation that, oh, this is a normal struggle. Like there are there are all these other people out there that are dealing with the exact same issue, whether they have 600 kids or 16,000. And so that to me was really big. Being able to put a question in the group and get feedback, you're going to get feedback. And it can be the goofiest problem in the world. And just to have that freedom to say, okay, is this happening to anybody else? And inevitably, there's going to be somebody who not only says, yes, it's happening to me, but here's how I solved it. So that's great. And not a day goes by where even if I miss something and have to go back and listen to it later, which happens often because schedules change, the resources, just being able to go to the Canva directory and say, has somebody already created this or do I have to start from scratch? It's just all, we need to save every minute of time that we can. And it's like having an extra person, in my opinion, the number of hours each year that I have saved because of the group.
And how often do you think you tune in? You know, it's a Facebook group, and so it's obviously available 24/7. You can get in there and share ideas and then get access to the Canva template directory or listen to a webinar training. But I think some people, Anita, listening are like, I am way too busy. I don't have time to interact. So how much time do you think you're in there in a week? And what would you say to somebody that says, I don't have time?
I would say I don't either. It's it depends on the week. I have your schedule added to my calendar. And so I get those alerts and I can't even tell you how many times in a month I'm sitting in a meeting and say, oh, I just missed the webinar that I wanted to watch. I'll have to catch the recording. Um, but even if it's say a work session and I have another meeting, if I get back to my desk 10 minutes early, I can flip it on. Even if I'm just listening in the background, I don't have to be participating like this. Something is going to catch my ear that I needed to hear, and I know I'm going to go back and watch that recording later. If not that, just checking to see what questions have been asked. So it's probably one of the few sites other than our school sites that I actually glance at daily. Whether or not I'm fully participating changes on the day. But definitely it's a daily spot check for me. And then I go back and do what I can when I can.
Yeah. How do you feel your growth has been like since you started? I mean, everybody's at a different spot. But what can you say about how your social media storytelling has grown in the years that you've been part of the group?
I think it has definitely grown in a positive way. Not just the storytelling piece, but also my response to things and my being able to, show myself a little grace, have a little grace with others. We're all just making it through. And, you've said many times, just do something. And so I think that doing the things that I'm afraid of is probably how the group has helped me the most. And gosh, and this is totally embarrassing to say, but because you have had me come on here and be near tears with a whole group of strangers. And just to know that you can just reach out and also just that affirmation that you're on the right track. I think that's how I have grown the most to be able to say, hey, let's just put this out here because everybody says it works. Even the things that I think I'm not a fan of, and then once I have tried it, I've had to say, wow, that's why they say it.
Right. And I just have to admit too, I mean, I get scared to try new stuff too, right? Like we all get scared. And I do social media every day and have for the last 10 years. And there's still some things that get me nervous. I still make mistakes. But I remember when I was on a phone call with you and you were in tears. It's so frustrating dealing with social media. And I think when we can kind of come together and it's a group of people that really understand how frustrating it is, that like emotional, supportive, like life skill type on the personal side, I think is so important in addition to the work that we have to do every day. But yeah, we certainly are not alone. And I really value those times when members trust me enough to be like, okay, let's get this together. Let's make a plan. And then we can kind of take some baby steps. And Lanita, I've just been so proud of you because you have really leaned into this, just vulnerable and willing to try. And to hear just even how you've changed the way that you're getting content is so good because I've still got people out there that are just like, and Rhonda, you met Rhonda this summer, and I know she's gonna be like, I'll take it any way I can get it, which is fine, Rhonda. Rhonda, we love you, but it can be
Yes, we do.
it can be a game changer when you change it. One thing that you did this year was you got in front of your staff. So in addition to kind of saying, hey, this is how we're gonna get content on the social media pages, you also got in front of your staff. So can you tell me about that meeting, what you said to those staff members and how that has helped the stories that you're able to share on social media?
Oh, absolutely. That was another game changer. And I did not think that it could be that huge. And there have been a couple of speakers that I know in the directory, even there are, have said an hour. You need to book at least 2 hours. You need to have half a day. You need to have a whole day. And I'm thinking, how? Like, how do you even start? And I ended up with 10 to 15 minutes in front of our faculty and staff at in service, and we'll never have another year without doing something like that again. It made a difference because they had gotten emails from me. They had had side conversations with me. I mean, to us, 600's not small for a private school, but compared to most of the people who probably are listening to this, it is. We're very close, we have 100 or so employees, and so we're having those side conversations. And I'm thinking, what could they possibly not know about this or not understand about this? Because we've talked about it. So going in front of them and setting up some things personally with examples on the screen. And specifically, I'm thinking about, the like, comment, share, and the difference between those. That's something I've said for years. I've mentioned it. I've put a little example of the little buttons. But after presenting to the faculty and staff, it was immediate feedback. I mean, at the first break, somebody came and got me and said, I did not know how to share. I didn't know what the share button meant. One person stopped me and said, can you walk through this with me? And I'm going to share this post, and it's going to be the first time I've ever done this. And so I guess I just didn't realize how many people are on social media, but they're not really using all of the pieces of it. And so what seems normal or routine for us, it just didn't occur to me that there were those little nuances for them that made the difference in them participating or not participating. And so the feedback was great. People shared more immediately. So that was just something that I don't think would have happened had I not gotten in front of them, and it made them feel like it was okay to be vulnerable and come and ask me questions. And 2 days ago was the last time. So that was in August. 2 days ago, somebody came and said, I thought I was doing this right. I think I just found out I'm not. Can we walk through this again? And it was the same thing. It was sharing something that they saw on our page that was important to them. So I think getting out there, repeating it, and then waiting for the time to repeat it again for the people who weren't ready to hear it is what made it just so important to them.
Yeah. Did you use, so we have like a templated Canva like presentation. Did you end up adapting that or did you create your own?
Yes, I did. I adapted one that was already there. I had watched a couple of work sessions where different ones had been put out, and I had looked in the directory. So I had a couple that I was trying to pick from. And when it came down to it and I knew how much time I had, I found one, switched out the colors and slapped in our pictures for our school, and it was so helpful because I really would have been more overwhelmed had I had to start from scratch.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that engagement that you talk about, likes, comments, and shares, it helps your post be seen by more people. And so when your staff, who obviously love your school, hopefully, and they see their content on their own page, when they share it, it exponentially helps you reach more people with your stories. So, now you use a tool to help kind of break down some steps when you're communicating with your staff. Can you just tell me about that tool and how you've used it?
I think you're talking about Scribe, like the step by
Yes.
step.
Yes.
Yes. Um, sure. And this is something, actually a Facebook ad, I think, is how I first heard about it. And then checked with my boss at the time and said, "Have you heard about this? Is this legit?" And he said, "Well, I have an account. I've only used it once or twice, but yeah, try it." So, oh wow, it's so great. Scribe is the name of it. I use it on the desktop, and it basically does a screen record. So while you're going through the steps to do something, it's capturing each screen and putting a text box above it. So, you know, doing it on mobile, which is usually how we do those videos for people, because you think everybody's on their phone and you're having to screen capture and then go in and do the text over it. This has the text box. And for example, it'll say, click more if on that page you clicked more. Um, and you can go back and tailor the text. You can delete the slides. I use the free version, so pretty much that's the tool. At the end of it, I save it, get the link, and I'll send it. For example, when I shared it with you, I had done how to share a Facebook or a LinkedIn post. And I walked through the steps with that, saved it, and put that link in our staff newsletter so that they could reference and go through those steps on their own. You can pay for a customizable version that lets you, I think, import special slides in the middle of that set. And I think that one works on mobile as well, but I have not paid for it. The desktop version does what I need it to do, but it's a great time saver.
Yeah. Do you use it mainly for like internal communication, or have you used that tool to help showcase things on social media for parents or something to complete a certain task?
Not used it for parents yet. That's a
Okay.
great idea. I'm going to have to think about that. I think the couple of teachers that use it maybe use it for that purpose, or they may be using it to show students how to go through a process.
Okay.
Um, in fact, I made one this week that I was going to send to you to address a question I've seen asked in the group, but I didn't know how to answer it, um, kind of without walking through it. So
Right.
I thought, I know this is a question people have. This might be a good resource.
Yeah, definitely. I think, in some cases words are great, but sometimes that video walkthrough, it's like, oh, there's where that button is, or that's how you do it. I love it. So with, your school, you said you've got a lot of things going on. What are some of the best stories that you've been able to share via social media, from your students or your staff? Do you have a favorite or two that you could tell us about?
Sure. Gosh, there are so many. And not that every single opportunity isn't great, because whether it's our little pre-K kids in science lab, you know, just having a ball, uh, to our seniors going on to some amazing opportunity as they get ready for college, or what their steps are next. There's so many things that are captured for each milestone, but I think some of my favorites have been, well, I'll give you one from a time ago and one recent. Uh, when COVID had a lot of places shut down, our choir did the national anthem before September 11th in a church foyer, beautiful acoustics. And of course, they're all in a huge circle instead of typically like you would picture a choir singing all together. Um, and it was just amazing. It, it it's breathtaking just to hear it, and I'll probably start crying while I say this. But instantly after sharing that, and I think I waited and shared it the next day when it was Patriot Day, actually,
Okay.
because the timing was so perfect. But to see those kids and listen to them, and it was such an important, day, and to see the comments that they were getting, not just from our school parents or even our area or country. They had people from other countries commenting. And then a couple of news stations ended up picking it up. And so to to be able to see them celebrated for just doing what they love, that was one of my favorite posts, whether or not it had gone viral. It was
Right.
just to see them being celebrated. Recently, we've had a lot of things, a new building, some really fun things to mark. Alumni posts are always fun to see. But we have a cheer coach who has coached the last 6 years. Our cheer team has won national championships. They've won 4 state championships under her time with us. And last year, her youngest son graduated, and he is on the co-ed team at Arkansas. And so while that's great to celebrate in itself, this year for their first home game that she got to attend as our cheer coach, and having developed that program for so many years and seen so many of her cheerleaders go on to the college experience, she sent me a picture of her and, there for her son's uh, first college game day or whatever. And it was a great picture. Posted that just to celebrate her success, the success of the cheer program, and then now how it's cool she's seen all these other cheerleaders go on to college cheer, but to have it be her own son, that was great. So that was a fun one to celebrate. And also, I think next to a homecoming king and queen, which is usually our biggest post of the year, Texas, we love homecoming.
Right.
Uh, that was probably the most reach I've ever had organically on just a one photo post.
Yeah.
And so that was fun to see, and to see all the colleges commenting who had congratulated her over the years. So that was fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll get both of those links so that we can kind of people can take a look at them, see exactly how you shared them and the feedback. I love that. So, as we wrap up, what would you say is your best social media tip?
I would say, I think I've already said it, which is just do it. Don't be scared. And it's hard not to be scared, especially when you're worried that you're going to post it incorrectly or the wording isn't going to be just right. Um, you are especially good at nudging us along. I'm thinking right now about reels and how resistant I was to that. Yeah, just try it. And I think you'll find that one, it probably wasn't as hard as we made it up in our minds it was going to be. And two, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean, last year we had a science lab, and I got their videos of their egg drop in physics. and I didn't even have time to put the pictures of the kids with it. So it's just the eggs dropping. But I found a really cute song um, on Instagram and did it. And I don't know, that thing has like 20,000 plays or something. And it's just a lot of eggs falling. It's there's no rhyme or reason to social media sometimes, so just try it and it might end up just being a really fun thing that you look back and say, well, that was a good thing to learn on.
Right. Yeah. Doing social media, again, I do it every day for the small little school district in New Auburn, which only has about 300 kids, K through 12, so half the size of yours. But I'm always second guessing myself. I just shared pictures yesterday and I'm like, oh, I could have shared the team pictures instead. Those would have been much better pictures. But I think you're always going to have some hesitation, but we just have to get them out there. And so I love that advice. I'd love to share that egg drop video too. So we'll get that and I'll share that in the show notes as well. Lanita, if somebody listening just wants to kind of chat with you, whether about some of, the progress you've been able to make, maybe they have a couple of questions about this membership group or whatever, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Okay, sure. Yeah, they can hit me up at my email address, lnickerson@lccs.org. Um, I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me there, same, Lanita Nickerson, and I think you'll have the rest in your show notes when you post that.
Yeah, and we'll have all of your pages there that they can look through. I'm just like a proud parent here, just of how much you have really leaned in. You get a little bit of prompting and some great ideas from other schools, but you're the one that has to take it and then apply it to your school. And Lanita, you're a great storyteller. So I'm so excited to hear how your position has kind of grown. You're full time in this communications coordinator role now. And I think you're doing a great job. So thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks for all of your influence in this area. And gosh, Andrea, thanks for having a group and thanks for writing a book and thanks for helping us along.
Yeah, I'm right here along with you, figuring it out as we go. But it's nice that we have a community. And so thanks everybody for listening today. Lanita taught us a lot, and next week we'll be back with another fabulous guest. So we hope you'll join us again. And until then, guys, keep telling those stories. Bye bye.